Let's get into questions. Let's keep it high energy in this. Let's do it. Okay, so the questions I have. Why do I feel lost even though my life looks fine? That's a great question. And I would say it's really all about our inherent function of evolution. Because if you work to stay in a great emotional state constantly, we simply would be content. We would not do things to change the external reality. So out of those negative emotional states that happen to everybody from time to time, because of them we really evolve, right? So that's about evolution. How did you figure out what direction to take in life? How did I figure out what direction I took in life? It's really all about removing all the distractions, and through this state of boredom that you enter, when there's no distractions, no fucking scrolling your phone, no bullshit, right? When you are left with no distractions, you will figure out what's your interest, because you will start to automatically move towards those actions intuitively. You will move towards those actions. You will get closer and closer to those goals that automatically develop in your mind, because as human beings we always need a goal to strive. So everybody has problems, and one thing that I found very important at some point in my life, and I still do, is just like not that profound at this point of my life, but back then it was very, very powerful, is that the main difference between rich people and people who have no money is that people with no money, they let life give them problems. Because the rule is that you need to have a problem. Like, the mind cannot live without a problem. And the poor people, they let life assign problems to them. But the rich people, what they do is they take advantage of this mechanic and they choose their problems. You get it? They choose their problems. And by their problems, I mean, how do you get money? Money is all about just solving people's problems. But most people are so focused on themselves that they don't stop and think like, what problems do other people have that I could solve? And for solving their problems, I will just charge them. That's how you make money. So it's all about getting obsessed about other people's problems if you want to make money. And what's amazing about it is when you are so obsessed on the problem of another person, you kind of start to forget your own problems, which is kind of beautiful. But yeah. What's next? Why do I feel confident some days and insecure on others? I will tell you this, man. Everybody goes through it. But for real, when it comes to days when you are more confident, more charismatic, more outgoing, and those days where you just want to be by yourself, you don't really want to do things, blah, 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 everybody goes through them. So what's something that can actually help you? You want to reverse engineer how you tap into highly confident, charismatic, easygoing states. So when you are in such a state, ask yourself, start to notice how you got into that state. That's how you can manufacture, that's how you can find out where are your lucky moments, basically. Yeah. Okay, what else? How do you know? Okay, basically the question is, how do I know when to trust myself? Very simple, check this out. So we were talking about the ego, right? And the ego, its characteristic is that when you have the voice in your head, the loud voice in your head is the ego. It's like, oh, this guy offended me, now I have to like get a revenge on the guy, like, you know, it's very loud. But the voice of your soul, of your spirit, is very silent. It doesn't push, there is no urgency. So when you learn how to differentiate those voices in your head and kinda back up your decision by the silent voice in your head, that's how you have the absolute certainty of which action is right for you. Is the next action right for you? Just, you know, close your eyes and be like, yo, let's just listen to the silent voice in my head. Type of thing, basically, right? Why do I keep repeating the same mistakes over and over? Because you didn't learn your lesson yet. So yeah, just go through life and figure out like what's the lesson in those mistakes. Because if you don't learn your lesson, the universe will just loop the pattern until your soul learns the lesson. How do you stop overthinking everything? Why do we even overthink in the first place? Why do some people struggle with it and others don't? Why? It's because overthinking comes from the lack of trust in oneself. So you shouldn't ask yourself, how do I stop overthinking everything? You will find the answer to your problem by diving deeper into why don't you trust yourself. Because if you were to trust yourself, we can both agree that you would not be overthinking everything, right? Your self-certainty would be higher. How do you know? How do you know if someone is a good, real friend? Just tell them no and see what happens. Just pure no, no explanation. If they respect that, then yeah, you found the real one. I would say this, man. Yeah. How do I stop feeling guilty for taking time for myself? Okay, so basically the question is how to stop feeling guilty for taking time for oneself, and why do I feel guilty for taking time for myself? Okay, so remember we're talking about the ego. So your ego has the specific story, a narrative, and when you go against the narrative, what happens is you experience those low vibrational emotions temporarily. That's how you go through it. So when your self-idea is, oh, I'm a hustler, I work 12 hours a day, no wonder when you try to relax a bit, you feel guilt. You programmed yourself for it, and that's a great way to condition the ego if you're a psycho, but yeah. Okay, what's next? What else? How do you stay confident when other people doubt you? I don't know, I don't really struggle with it. Yeah, I haven't, like, a cliche advice, but man, believe in yourself. That's all you gotta do. That's the answer. Now the question is, how do you believe in yourself? And you do it through proving to oneself that when you say something, you actually do it. And you do it enough times over and over, and then you're like, wow, now I respect myself, now I trust myself. Why do I compare myself to others so much? They say that the comparison is the thief of all joy, and it's so true. Because if you were to compare yourself in any metric to another person, you probably can find someone who's doing better or worse. So like, just when you enter this game of comparison, just know you are losing. There's no way to win the game. So just at the moments where you catch yourself starting to compare, what you do, you stop, you detach from it, you shift your attention elsewhere. And it's great to shift your attention from an unwanted subject that you're thinking about by asking yourself a question. It has to be whatever, like, what's my favorite meal? Your brain starts to go in a completely different direction, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, a few more questions and I think we'll wrap this shit up. Why do I feel guilty for wanting more? It's about conditioning. So when you were a child, probably your caregivers were having certain beliefs about those who want more, about ambitious people, about people who want to make money, right? And they hated on such people. So if they hated on such a person, there is no way for them to become a person that they hate, right? So when you are growing up and those people tell you things, it's basically they are trying to get you to live life in the way they did. It's pretty stupid, but most people operate like this, that's what I noticed. So basically, that's your societal programming you went through. So now, when you feel those emotions of guilt, because what's very interesting that all the negative emotions are useless outside of the survival mode. When, let's say, a tiger is chasing you, they're completely useless, and we learn them from other people, usually from our caregivers, by imitation. So we saw a person being angry and we imitated them to become angry ourselves, right? That's why when you think of those low vibrational strong emotions such as shame, guilt, anger, blah blah blah, to each of those emotions you can actually recall a specific face. You can think of, oh, guilt, my dad. Oh, shame, let's say my uncle, whatever. You see what I'm saying? Why does personal growth feel uncomfortable at times? Because through psychological discomfort you actually get to know who you are. Or, excuse me, through the psychological discomfort that you go through, you actually get to know who you are not. And then you are left with who you are. That's a way of individuation, that's the way of you experiencing this life through a specific form you call yourself.